Hello everyone, here we are in one of my least favorite places, Windows 11 desktop, because it can't let you get rid of, it won't let you get rid of these final icons here, the date here, and when you do the transition left and right between virtual screens, you have to do it with your four-fingered swoosh or something mapped to the trackpad. If you do it from the keyboard with Control Windows left right arrow, it's completely invisible. You can't even see it. So anyway, this among other things is keeping me off of Windows 11, but nonetheless I'm going to test my LXD to WSL script on Windows 11. In fact, this is part 2, where part 1 created these DMESG error messages in the install script, and as soon as you see that, you know that you need to go into Settings, Windows Features, turn Windows Features on or off, which brings up this little user interface, and you needed to put a check mark next to Windows Hypervisor Platform. So I'm fresh after a reboot, after having selected that check mark, allowed the reboot to occur, and so here we are. Now, from my recollection, I developed this whole thing not needing admin privileges, but without having done that platform hypervisor checkmark, it would not have run either way. But now, having done it, I actually think you can double-click this without needing admin privileges. Let me check my knowledge there. It only ran it once. I was concerned I double-clicked it. I hit Enter. All right, so it's doing its thing. We are under the normal or old-fashioned DOS prompt, the COM command window, as opposed to a fancier, more modern PowerShell window. So they emulate DOS under the newer architecture. Now I can see here from the way it's proceeding, it's actually finding its thing. The key indicator will be after systemd gets turned on and it installs LXD, and then it starts pulling down a LXD image. If the problem still exists there, I don't think it can even pull down that image. I think it gets stuck somewhere around there. But if this fix works, turning on the Windows Hypervisor Platform, then systemd is successfully turned on, LXD is successfully installed or activated, and then LXD successfully pulls down a Linux image, a Ubuntu provided, I guess it's Canonical. Canonical is the company behind Ubuntu, which was chosen by Microsoft as the default Linux that gets installed with a Windows subsystem for Linux. So a lot of good stuff comes from Ubuntu these days, except, of course, the desktop operating system, which people seem to be flocking off of. It's not where Ubuntu's heart is anymore. After making a really great attempt at the whole, unified, in fact, they called their version of a graphical desktop for Linux Unity, but it created, ironically enough, great disunity. Okay, there's systemd being installed. So they ended up, and then here is the moment of truth. If it works, we're going to see this countdown now of the, there it is, retrieving image, root fs. And then ultimately, it'll be logging into the Jupyter server and CDing around. I can CD to the repo directory, and I should see the repo folders that are, in fact, right, because I showed you earlier, I think, maybe, that I have a repos directory already set up, which means that the attempt to create this directory is going to fail. It's going to be like, oh, it's already there. Nonetheless, this directory, which is so easily accessible under my home directory under Windows, should be equally easily accessible under the instance of Jupyter that's being installed. If this fix worked, that will be the case. If the fix didn't work, when we go into repos Linux side, we won't actually even be able to see any of these. It'll be disconnected. That is the symbolic link that was breaking under the previously untested script. Having had tested it, I now know that the fix is to turn on the Windows Hypervisor Platform. And then it should all proceed very well. We see here steps of the install happening. There's the install of JupyterLab. Having Jupyter accessible through the web browser soon follows this step. So it should finish up and then prompt us to hit the enter key to release the console. And then we'll have a graphical desktop back again. Right, that's it. So this is a little artifact I'm trying to get rid of here, but this is the departure message, right? So you can now reach JupyterLab at this address, localhost :8888, remember that. And you can make an icon for it if you run it through Edge. And to start, after a reboot, there's a shortcut that it gives us that we're going to need to know or use. So I'm going to perhaps copy that in case I don't have one of these on the desktop yet. I think I do, and now press enter to release the console. You hit enter, it goes away. And yeah, I already have made both of these things here. Yeah, I could just double click this to restart the server if it was after a reboot, or I could click this to get into JupyterLab as an app. But I'll go into it initially through Edge, right? I'll just open Edge, make that full screen, and we can go to localhost :8888. Oh. All right, well, to see if the server is really there, we can double click into this. This is that shortcut. In fact, I should show you how this shortcut is made. First, let's see if it works. Yeah, there it is. It's working. It's running. And if we ls from this location, yeah, there are my repo directories. So everything works. Everything works. It just appears that it didn't turn on the server. So localhost :8888, that's where we actually were attempting to visit. So let's try that again. Localhost :8888. Boom. There we go. Now the password is foo. All right, so there's Jupyter running, JupyterLab running from a web browser, fresh after a running of the install script that makes this all possible, right? So this is not merely running in the background, Windows subsystem for Linux server. This is running in an LXD container running under the Windows subsystem for Linux. And so this is where our virtual desktops come into play, because it's nice to keep things open full screen. In fact, this is not full screen enough. In fact, this is still too web browsery. So let's do the typical things I advise at this point. Now, I actually already have them both here. So I'll get rid of this one because I'm about to recreate it, right? I probably also have one here, which I'll get rid of. Uninstall, yeah. So is that uninstalling Jupyter? No, that's just uninstalling the icon that's created in the way I'm about to show you how to do. So under Edge, you can go to apps, and you can say install this site as an app. JupyterLab, that sounds like a reasonable name. You hit install, and now it'll prompt you where you want to put it. Now I try to never pin stuff to the taskbar. So I remove the check mark next to pin to taskbar, and I leave pin to start because, pinning to start is a good idea. I can close out of here yet again. I can close out of the edge that helped me create that. And now I can take it from here and up. See how that you get that X? When you get that X trying to do that, the trick is you hit all apps. and then you find it again here, and you can drag it from all apps. And what previously didn't let you drag an icon up here, it now does. So long as you try and do this after a fresh install, it's going to work. Although you can see sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it didn't start Jupyter up correctly. So when it doesn't, you're going to need this icon here, which I know I happen to still have in my copy buffer, but I'm going to show you, I guess, how to find it fresh. So I'll delete that one. If we go back into edit this file, oh wait, I'm not even sure if that's true. Let's see. Where did I? Well, it was at the end of this install. I don't know if I show it there. Show more options, edit, scroll to the bottom here. Yeah, wow. Okay, so I'm going to have to think about that because people are going to need to know how to do this step, which is new, shortcut, and then the shortcut is to that location that I tell you at the end of the install script, which I have still in my copy buffer. I'm going to have to definitely find a way to make this piece of information more easily copyable for creating this icon. Then you hit next, and you give it a name like JupyterLab, because this effectively becomes a oh, I replaced that one. Can I undo that? No, I can't. I outsmarted myself. What a stupid thing. So I delete that. I go back here. I hit all apps. I find JupyterLab. I put that back out here. I go, oh, well, you know, practice makes perfect. New shortcut. Paste that in. Next. And so here's where I went wrong. It can't be JupyterLab. That's the name of this here. This will be Jupyter Login. You know, give it any name you want, but basically it's what you have to run before you can run JupyterLab after a reboot in order to get it running invisibly in the background. Because the fact you can do this, click it there, it doesn't matter. The fact you can go in there and have it connect to Jupyter so quick like that, that's kind of a magic right there. That is made possible because a server is running kind of invisibly in the background, which you can now get to by double-clicking that. See, it opens a PowerShell, and now you're logged into it. If I were to ls under repos, I see these repos here, which are the same ones as here. So that's really, truly good news. It means it all installed correctly. It's working right. My script, LXD to WSL, works under Windows 11. I guess as well as it does under Windows 10, you just need to activate a feature that you normally don't need activated, right? The Windows Hypervisor Platform. And so you can do stuff here. I think I have some aliases. Jupyter, like that. How do I? It's LXD alias. Oh, it's LXC. Oh, you can't use LXC commands inside an instance of that. Oh, interesting. Yeah, screen. We're using GNU screen, so I can just do screen ls. There's the Jupyter server, right? So I can do screen hyphen reattach to J tab, and there is the Jupyter server, right? So these things here are possible because of that server running in the background like that. Here, let me do a split screen by doing this. Windows has some interesting things that it does offer, not the worst in the world. And let's go to a location. I happen to be under MLSEO right there, but I'll go into practice directory and I'll hit plus new notebook. You can see the command running on the server here, and I can do a hello world, don't really even need to use the print command when you're inside of a notebook. You can just do inside of double quotes hello world. That's like an implied print statement under Jupyter Notebook. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, you have seen me now use my install script that you can all get from going into Edge. Visit mikelev.in/ux, select all, copy, and create this file, install.bat. Run it after you have the Windows Hypervisor Platform installed, and you too can have a JupyterLab running inside an LXD Linux container on your Windows machine, hosting a truly Linux Jupyter experience. There's a lot of interesting projects coming up that basically all rely on this trick that I had taken some considerable effort moving towards, so that I now have a Noah's Ark of technology. This methodology, platforms created by this through script building scripts, or server building scripts that build servers, GitHub repos. A combination of these things creates a virtual platform in the clouds that doesn't belong to any single cloud provider, because if you wanted to run it on your own hardware, no problem. If you want to take your containers and go home and run in your home server, you can do that. You can slice and dice this any which way, and you can start out in notebooks, which has some advantage, I would recommend. Thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.